Hey, how's it going? Guess I wasn't really prepared here. But I guess that kind of sets the tone here. So, once again, I've almost completely missed Sunday, but the sun has not risen on Monday yet, so I'm just going to still call it Sunday. And I have a couple of cards from the Declarations of Mary Magdalene deck. And you know what? When I was putting them away from yesterday, or actually when I was putting them away from the last video that I did, I usually shuffle them, because I put in the card I used and then I shuffle them before I put them away. And sometimes a card will single itself out and fall out, and I'll take that card as the card for the next day or the next video. And so I got this one card from doing that, and then kind of sat down and then woke up like 6 hours later, and it's like, oh, I forgot that yesterday I went to bed, or I started to go to bed in the morning, so at like 6 a.m., and then I didn't end up going to sleep until hours and hours later, at like 1, I think. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe, I don't know, sometime in the afternoon. But anyway, I woke up at 11 p.m. or midnight or something like that. So like 6 hours later, and it's like, dang it. I'm doing the gelatin thing, and I was like, if I would have known I was going to sleep that long, I would have eaten the gelatin then. But I just ate it in the morning, because some recipes have you doing it when you wake up. I've been doing it before I sleep, so I didn't have any. Oh well, I guess I can miss a day. Anyway, why did I start talking about that? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just that I'm in this space where I can't even tell you what I did yesterday. I mean, I know I watched videos because that's what I do every day. And I know I meditated because that's what I do every day also. But, even if it's the same thing every day, there's still always something different that happens. And that's what I'm referring to. Like, what in the heck did I do yesterday? Other than the other things that I mentioned, sleep. Evidently that was it, but I feel like I did stuff mentally. Isn't that strange? Your mind does it performs a lot of activities concurrently, so I guess you can feel like slightly fatigued, like you did something. Is that my hair? No. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I have these cards, and so the one that fell out when I was putting them away is this one. It's the number 18, which adds up to 9. 9 in the tarot is the number of completion, or, like the night before graduation day. So you've done all of the work already, and the following number 10 is just like the ceremonial, in this case, today, right now, is the ceremonial number for the graduation party. So, okay, the card reads, when thou dost not love thyself, thou is not loving God. So that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Well, if you have any kind of religious instruction at all, and I don't even mean like you had to attend a church or a school or anything, like our society in the United States is so Christian oriented, like even before the current administration and that version of frothing Christianity, even before that, it's just everywhere. And so I was raised in that. I was raised Catholic, so it's not as offensive and unusual as it must be to Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus and whatever else you got, because good Lord, mention a Muslim or an Arab or someone even suspected of being a Muslim, and some people will lose their flippin' minds, and they're a terrorist and all terrible stuff, and it's like, yeah, but they've been here for like 60 years not terroristing a damn thing. Just stop. And that's a good analogy for what this card, I feel like, is talking about. If you don't love yourself, then you don't love God. Why would you care about that? Why would you know about that if you weren't like a religious person of the... Well, these cards come from Christianity-based things, so that's what it's going to be talking about here. So that faith-based tradition, but you don't have to have been of it. I keep circling it. I know I'm going to get there. You probably have heard that we're all a part of God. Like, God is a part of us. It's not that God is a part of us. We are a part of God that has flaked off to go do extensive examination of life as this form, as how life is going to affect this form, to have the experience of every emotion that comes with each experience, and that's why we're here, like we all have mission statements and such, and that's a to each his own kind of thing, like that's about as close as the similarities are going to get with that kind of stuff. But it's pretty straightforward. So if you're like not respecting your form, which there's some talk about that in the Bible if you didn't know, where your house is your mansion is your body, or your body is you may have heard your body is your temple. That sounds like the same kind of thing. I don't know if it came from the same tradition, because we don't call church temple, but same kind of deal though, building where people congregate to do religion. And so I guess at the time when those sayings came into being at the church or the temple was a big deal. And well, don't get me started about what churches used to be like. So anyway, Tartaria stuff. It was something you did because, not necessarily out of obligation, which I think is how I spent a lot of my time in a church, feeling like I'm obligated to be here kind of against my will, like I just wasn't into it. When you're a child, you're not like deep in that kind of way, really. I mean, you are, but you don't come at it from the direction the person on the pulpit is telling it to you from. Like, your perception of the world is completely different. Your vocabulary of explaining the world to yourself is different. And so the interface, well, there could be some dissonance there. And it's a thing that happens when you're an adult dealing with another person. You just may not be on the same wavelength, and that causes a type of dissonance akin to like radio static, or television static, which is not necessarily pleasant to listen to. It's not attuned, and so the sound of it feels bad, or the feel of it is not great. in this other non-auditory sense that I'm talking about. So, like I said, pretty straightforward. If you're not loving yourself, you're not loving God. It's not a big, like, religious thing. This always cracks me up when I think of it, because I think it's true. I think at the time when Mary Magdalene lived, like originally as Mary Magdalene, not a reincarnated person, Mary Magdalene, when she lived, they were definitely religions, right? Probably as many as there are today. And they all had their gods, like whole casts and crews of things, of people like populating the equivalent of like what the Bible contains, like the stories, like it's the instruction manual, and it's telling you the stories, and it's a history, and it's got a lot going on. And all of the traditions have their own books, or, however they contain the information. They all got them. And so, I don't know that they all talk about people that are living here and now being sort of fractals of the, like, ultimate being of their tradition. But that's what the Christianity one is. Oh, so where am I going? Get back on. So, yeah, at the time that Mary Magdalene lived, there were definitely religions, but there was not Catholicism, which she is, like, at the center of in a lot of ways. And so, it's just funny to me, like, talking about her and what she was talking about when she lived. And these cards contain channeled information from that person. So what she has said that's on these cards is current. But it's, I'm sure, drawn from her life history, And so, I'm just trying to get across here that I'm not talking about religion, okay? Catholicism did not exist at that time, so she wasn't a Catholic. It didn't exist. So I'm not talking about religion, but what I am talking about, I guess, is theosophy. She had a particular point of view. She is like the apostle that doesn't get to be publicly named as one, and had her own gospel, and that might be plural even, gospels and books in the Bible. They were there at one time, I guess, and then men, I'm going to guess it was men, decided to exclude that information. And it's not so much that it is about because a woman wrote it, or is the inspiration for it. That's not why. Well, it is a little bit, but it's also mainly because of what the information was. Like, it pretty much eliminated the need for the church and the whole infrastructure of it, like the priesthood and such. So that, I guess, is not so different from religions then than religions now. They still do the tithing and, the collecting of money constantly from the congregation, who a lot of times are so devoted to their religion. And this I'm talking about is religion now. Now I'm talking about religion, to be clear. And some people are really locked into that. They're the fully faithful, so they will tithe money that they can't afford to be given because they so strongly believe in the church. And why am I talking about that? I don't know, but back to Mary, when she lived, I suspect that, so I was making the comparison between churches and what they did then and what they do now. Not so terribly different. Although I don't know, because I wasn't there and I don't have like a recall that goes back that far. Sorry. But there could have been more things going on that we kind of frown upon today. Like there may have been some sort of sacrifice happening. And that's all been like excised from modern Catholicism, but there's so much like deciphering involved in Catholicism anyway. I don't know about the other ones. One religion is plenty for me. I'm not like in a rush to go diving into like a whole other one. Well, anyway, you may have, like I said, you may have heard it, whether you're a Christian of some type or not, but what you may have heard is that in some way we here on the planet are a reflection of the God that we call up there, but I think it's more like it's also everywhere too. As I was gonna say, it's more like it's like everything around us that we can see and or conceive of. God is in that. Like that's how it goes apparently. And so finally, it talks about, when you don't love yourself, you're not loving God. And all of us being God, you don't have to necessarily be hurting yourself for that to make sense. It also, I think, speaks to the rest of us that are also bits of God. And that's going to follow. It doesn't like stop at the line where Christianity ends and, Islam begins. That I don't think it's how it works. I think it's universal. And I think it's regional too. Like I think whatever you call him, it, her, it's all God. It's all the same. Like the Creator just allows us to have our diversity, and that works in reality too, because there's all kinds of people, but there's all kinds of different. Because of the region they came from, they're going to sound different. They may look different, but still got a head and the limbs and the digits all the same. So if you hurt somebody else, you're hurting God and yourself. If you hurt somebody else, you're hurting yourself. You can just fold that right into what I was talking about. Okay, so the next card is the number 28, which adds up to 10, which breaks down to a 1, and that is the number 1 number, the master number. So, and if you don't know what that means, please go search master number. It's kind of crucial to understanding the numerology thing. So anyway, the card reads, "It is thy that are the keepers of the divine knowledge that becomes hidden when one chooses to flee from thy sacred heart." So again, the sacred heart. Oh, it's not on that one. Never mind. Scratch what I was starting to say there. So it's talking about fleeing from the Sacred Heart, and I feel like the Sacred Heart is your second intelligence, where it's more about feeling and intuiting than it is about logicking and thinking and, talking yourselves right out of stuff because you have all this language for deconstructing all this other stuff that is not really, you can't really science it. I mean, you kind of can, but even that's not accepted because of what's being measured. So, I mean, it's like paranormal, right? So it's not really taken that seriously, and to the degree it is, It's like a boutique community. Please pardon me. And that's only taken quasi-seriously. It's kind of like, yeah, nutty, though, so is the perception. That's what I feel like. So, when you flee from your Sacred Heart, you're not being true to yourself, I think is what is the message here. And, I mean, I think we do it all the time. I don't know how conscious it is. I have done it consciously, which is, I think, a step that you get to eventually where you decide to do something that's going to make a series of events happen, and it may not be like the best look, not the accepted way to sort of navigate through your life, but, you know, I was doing it from a clinical witness point of view, and other people are just like that. Like, they're just pot stirrers and agitators, and I think to maintain that, you have to step away from your Sacred Heart, which is where I think your golden rule kind of knowing lives. Like, I think that you have to, if you lose your empathy, if you, like, or if you never had any, then you're nowhere near your Sacred Heart, because I think that is a place where acceptance lives and love. And so to be non-empathetic, to not care about other people and what happens to them, is not heartfelt. It's not sympathetic. And I think all of those things, I think we have, like, they're loaded in us, like hardwired in, but they can be activated or deactivated. So I think you are deactivated from those things, like being loving and caring for other people and thinking about somebody else's welfare, you know, first before your own. I think that those live, the impulses and the understanding to embody all of those things live in the Sacred Heart. And then I think if you start to put distance between yourself and that Sacred Heart, that's where you lose the empathy and you become cruel and mean and greedy and destructive. Like, bro, I do not understand. Like, okay, so I know there's a lot of people out there that think climate change is a psyop. I don't care if it's a psyop. If it's like some sort of directed action that's causing drought and, you know, polar ice shifts and things, then can we stop doing that? Because it's like messing us up. It's, you know, and then, you know, because if you believe in the climate change, then you also understand that that's causing extreme weather events. Like, we already have tornadoes and hurricanes and cyclones and blizzards and flooding and fire seasons, and we already had that, and that's like the extreme. The extremes are getting extremer, and we're sort of not prepared for it, you know? Like, speaking of things that go first, I'm sure property is going to get attention before what happens to our soft little bodies, our vulnerable little easily punctured bodies. Like, when are we going to pay attention to that in light of all this extreme stuff happening? I mean, this has like loose parts flying around that it's not good. It's not safe. But if you want to believe that it's a psyop and a hoax, okay, it may be all fake, but it's still really happening. So can we at least get on the same page about that? Like, I've been talking about, can we work on prevention for, I feel like, my whole life, and I feel like nobody was listening, which is not true. There's Greenpeace and things like that. There's organizations. There's other people out there concerned about it. There's just not, I feel like, enough people, because the data centers, what the hell are we doing? You don't have to be like in the vicinity of the thing for it to affect everywhere else. And they didn't just build one. In this country, all of a sudden it's what we're all talking about. When did they fly up and get built? And there's so many, and we have more in the United States than all the other countries. Again, what are we doing? Are you going to go live like on a different planet, wealthy people that are forcing all of this into action? I mean, I don't know how it escapes affecting you people too. And what is wrong with you? Get help. You guys are like mental. So, we are all not only part of, God. God is creation. God made everything. So we are deeply connected to this world. Like, I don't know why these allegedly intelligent people don't understand the circle of life situation. Like, you start like damaging where everything grows from that we also need to live on, then how are we going to live? What are you doing? Okay? I don't understand, clearly. And I feel like to be that cold and that cruel, and then also when these guys talk about it, they seem, I'm thinking of a particular group of AI people, but their product is what the data centers run. Their products are run by the data centers. Their product needs the data centers. But this is like, they all decided this. I don't remember being asked if I wanted it or cared about it. I still, to this day, have not used AI. I don't have a need for it. I mean, I guess I've used it on the phone menu to like my cable company or whatever, or power company, because now all of the companies have it. But personally, I have not sought it out to use for anything, and especially now that I know what using it does to the planet. And it's terrible, because I really like those Lego videos. Anyway, that's like pretty far from your Sacred Heart. And I feel like our planet is our shared gigantic Sacred Heart. We are connected to it in so many ways that we just don't perceive. And it's like, I also don't perceive a lot of the stuff, or what I can perceive, I don't know how I can show you it. I just feel it. And I think people think because you can't have like a hard copy demonstration slideshow or whatever you think you need, but you can't just have faith in the stuff being true, because it doesn't need to be said to you. You can see if the stuff is messed up. If the water, if the water's gone, is what I was going to say. Like, yesterday, I learned that the Rio Grande, do you know what Rio Grande means in English? Big river, is dried up. That, I can't. That like struck me. That's like a big blow to our ecosystem in this country, our biome, especially in the area in close proximity to where this river was. that is. I mean, I felt a blow hearing that, and we all should, because that's a part of the chain, of the ecological chain, that is like the foundation of the circle of life. What are we doing? What are we doing? We should stop. We should stop, like, destroying our own world. How am I doing on time? Doing good on time. So, I know I start to say stuff and then I trail off and I don't finish the thought. And then I remember, like, after it's recording is finished and video is posting or posted and shared, and it's too late. And that would drive me crazy. So I'm going to try and finish the thought here. So one that I know that I keep trying to talk about is why I would like to see us stop and think. Well, I'd like to, how do I phrase this? Everything we say, particularly angry words, affect the world around us. Like, imagine if we sort of lived in a world of, like, water, but we don't perceive it as water. Like, it's just, we call it air. We're breathing oxygen. It's dry. But what if it actually is a lot like liquid outside of our skin, okay? And then when we release something that we're saying, the sound reverberates throughout the water. Once it gets out of us and into the water, the air/water, it gets everywhere. And so, not only that, what we're feeling generates vibrations. You know, we emit what we're feeling, and if it's happy, it's good, and it's bright, and it's nutritive, and enjoyable. If we're sad, then that's kind of what we're putting out. It's kind of what our appearance broadcasts and advertises, like, hang dog, sad sack. Those are descriptions of what a sad person looks like and acts like. So, in other ways, without all of that talk, we manage to send this constant stream of messaging. And so, if we're more conscientious about what we're saying and the way we're saying it, like, we know to be nicer. The words exist. Hey, be nice. Or, you know, lighten up on that person. Like, don't unload on them. Because you might literally be doing that in a way that can't be seen, per se, the way that you can look at your screen and see me right now. But they are happening nonetheless. Like, science can do a lot of that sort of faith-based sciencing. Like, they know functions and things are happening in the world, and they're not necessarily in the visible spectrum of the human eye, but they can be measured, and then they can be seen. The effect of it can be seen. So we do know that things that we can't see do exist, and they're all around us. And so I don't have to explain, I don't think, to all of anybody watching this how we perceive feelings, which also, you can't see them. You can see them as an expression on the person's face, but if they're holding their face neutral and they're not expressing anger, sometimes we know that the person, anyway, we still know that they're in there seething. We know they're really mad. How do we know that? Because we feel it. That also cannot be seen. So it's not like having to have that much faith. Like, we kind of know. And so my thing is that affects us when we're putting that out into the air / water that's reverberating and rippling and then eventually reaching everybody else and making them feel some kind of way. I feel like if we were more conscientious about what we put out there, especially to one another, and then also, like, I guess think before you speak kind of thing, also very simple, very basic sort of remedy to our largest problem, I think, which is that we kind of treat each other like crap, and we talk about each other like crap. Like, everything we do kind of is not very loving to each other a lot of the time, and it's the way our society is. I get that. It's the effects of being a capitalist society, which is, gosh, it's pernicious and mean and terrible, and we love it. Not all of us love it. Because of how it makes us, you know? But so, yeah, my thing is, like, we don't have to add to, like, all of the problems that are happening. Like, we definitely have some things going on that we don't need to be adding any more negativity to. Let's put it that way. And, okay, so that is something that I've been trying to say, and I know I start to say it and I never finish the thought. So there. Number one, finish that thought. Okay, and so that's like, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm like tired. So, but there's one, I'll do my best to remember another one, because I know there's other things that I've started to say, and then I get squirrel and forget that I started to say something. So I'm doing my best to, you know, not do that. Anyway, thank you and good night. Oh, really?